oh, you got injured in camp, you lose to that guy too. Now you're set back when you could have been a champion.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like weirdness going on with possibilities and, you know, just luck, bad luck, and good luck.
Bad luck and good luck. Timing, I think, is a big thing.
Is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just. I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
And then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully.
Despite the stark physical difference, Joe Rogan harshly criticizes Jake Paul for his altercation with Gervonta Davis. He clarifies that the purpose of weight classes is to safeguard combatants, and that disregarding them poses grave dangers. He claims that Jake is more concerned with event promotion than upholding boxing's fairness. Tank could be seriously harmed by Jake's much bigger bulk and strength, which would make the fight needless and dangerous.
But no time limit within the weight class.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be pretty. That would be pretty wild.
Yeah, that'd be pretty.
Because
crazy.
you know, like two guys are facing off each other, like, and they know, like, there's no rescue. Every 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you go into it knowing you're either getting knocked down or submitted, or you're doing that to the other person.
Given the massive weight disparity, Michael Bisping has grave worries regarding Jake Paul's choice to take on Gervonta Davis. He notes that Jake is getting ready to face someone who is almost 100 pounds lighter than him, which is against the sport's inherent equilibrium. Given that Mike Tyson is 58 years old and has been retired for a long time, Bisping remembers how the bout with Tyson initially appeared dubious. Now, the fact that this fight with Tank Davis seems to be motivated more by Jake's desire for personal gain than by fair competition just serves to heighten the dispute. Boxing thrives on equal matches, Bisping emphasizes. However, Jake has the upper hand in this fight, making it appear less like an athletic contest and more like an attempt to further one's own interests at Tank's expense.
That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word, whoa, stop being such a bully, leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers, yeah.
In response to Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis's face-off, Teddy Atlas draws attention to the stark disparity in size. According to him, Tank is so little in comparison to Jake that he would require a ladder in order to reach Jake's chin. Atlas emphasizes that the size disparity in this instance is just too much, even though he acknowledges that variations in talent and technique are a natural aspect of the sport. The fight appears uneven from the beginning because Tank is physically too undized to even properly approach Jake.
They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract, but I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, all kidding aside, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but you know, a little different. The size difference was, I mean, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think. And I'm gonna ask Richie, our man here, who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm gonna ask him because I know he's an expert in this area. But it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, AKA Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips back there.
Jake Paul's activities are more about promotion than competitiveness, as Joe Rogan notes. He argues that by creating odd matches, these fights are arranged to pique interest and pull in casual spectators. Rogan claims that the spectacles and betting chatter around these matches are more about making headlines than they are about actual sports value. Even though the bouts don't make much sense, he thinks Jake knows how to maintain his reputation and uses boxing as a platform for promotion.
The problem. That makes it a problem. My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love
That
everybody.
had nothing to do with them.
Hmm?
That was Jake Paul promoting it. You know, it's just
It's-
like doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
If I bet on it, it
watching
bothers the
it is
fuck out
hard.
of me.
Watching it with
Yeah.
people who are so in on it, and then also man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia, so it's like
Yeah.
they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet for like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you
Parasocial
in.
thing.
They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in. And
According to Leonard Ellerby, Tank Davis wasn't mentally prepared to take on Lamont Roach. According to him, Tank had already faced a lot of personal difficulties and didn't want to add to his stress at that moment. Fans expected the battle to materialize, but it never did because of this lack of enthusiasm. According to Ellerby, Tank was more concerned with running his personal affairs than establishing himself in the ring, and separating from Roach was a means of avoiding needless pressure. According to reports, Gervonta Davis intends to retire after his impending bout with Jake Paul. According to sources, the chance to achieve financial security is more important in this decision than the desire to further his reputation or get more titles. According to observers, Tank's decision to accept the fight seems to be driven more by the big payout he is assured than by any desire to advance in his career or compete. This background presents the bout as less of a significant advancement in his boxing career and more of a business choice. Analysts note that Tank has recently faced a lot of difficulties and demands, which might have influenced his decision to accept a well-known but unconventional fight. Accordingly, the bout with Jake Paul is seen as a well-thought-out strategy intended to optimize profits and provide financial stability before to retiring from professional boxing.
Let's go band for band on what you make. Again, there's nothing wrong with Tank going to get his money, but let's all be clear that that's all the fight is for Tank. He's telling you without telling you that he's fighting Jake just because he's getting $40 million. So when we talk about boxing being dead, Tank has to line up at the front of the line. I can't blame him, but don't throw around, oh, boxing's dead and people switch sides and all of that. You chose not to be great. That's it. You chose not to be great. Stuff like that, choices like that will kill boxing. For sure. On a competitive level, it won't kill it on a business level. On a business level, until people run out of interest in these kind of matchups, it'll do well. On a competitive level, choosing not to fight the best will kill the sport. So maybe it's better if people like Tank aren't in the sport. And I don't even say that because I want that to be the case. I think Tank is ridiculously talented. You can't want a fighter to fight more than what they want to. You can't. Tank fans or Tank people that like Tank and think he's one of the best, you can't want it for him. And then Shakur came back with, that's how I know you soft. I can't even go back and forth with you soft ass. You rather pop to me on social media than get in that fire and get embarrassed. I get it. Peace and blessings upon you, cuz. He says, the people got your chest out so bad. You talking like you a killer, forgetting that you the one that runs, bitch. I'll be bring the fight to you. This dude, a made-up character. Quote, blessings upon you. Clown-ass dude, wanna be Kevin Gates. Oh my goodness. I mean, here's the thing though. You can't say that stuff about Shakur if you're not willing to fight him. This is the point I think that we're going to come to today, is that Tank can say all this stuff he wants, but if you're not willing to fight Shakur, then none of it means anything anymore. Even if you believe that Tank is going to knock him out, even if you believe that Shakur is a runner, or that he's not in the trenches, or he's not a boxer that's willing to bring the fight, or whatever, none of it matters. You're talking from the sideline because you won't fight.
Looking back on his career, Gervonta Davis acknowledges that winning a boxing title was not his initial objective. Rather, he concentrated on making enough money to improve his current situation and create a future free from adversity. Although it wasn't necessarily his ambition in terms of titles or recognition, boxing was his escape. To put his current choices in perspective, his goal was always stability and financial security rather than becoming a sporting icon.
Jake Paul. Yesterday they had their first press conference. One of the most recognizable things is Jake Paul is huge compared to Gervonta Davis. And two, Gervonta Davis don't even know what weight they fighting, D.
Maximum weight of 195 pounds for this exhibition. The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds. The fight is 195 pounds, Tank, as you know.
DC, I watched this, and we have our priorities way misplaced when we're talking about boxing. Like, everybody's complaining about this Ali act and all. Like, how is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled, but this fight should not be happening, and the press conference was embarrassing. Gervonta Davis should not have a mic in front of him. It was absolutely embarrassing watching this thing.
D, why, D?
Just the fact that, like, every time when Jake Paul would say something to Gervonta Davis, he didn't know how to answer it. He was comparing himself to, like, P. Diddy at moments, and I was like, oh my God, get a mic away from this guy. This fight shouldn't be happening. And then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. He's like, I thought
That's
it was
bad,
190.
D.
No, it's 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean, that's bad.
Jake Paul is commended by Showbiz the Adult for leveraging his platform to increase boxing's visibility and for developing a marketing strategy that appeals to casual fans. Many in the sport agree that Jake has created new opportunities for marketing and audience reach because of his unquestionable ability to draw spectators and provoke conversation. Showbiz, however, also highlights the negative aspects of the scenario, pointing out that Jake is frequently criticized for how he handles his fighting career. His constant selection of opponents who are either tiny, retired, or not inherently competitive at his level is the biggest worry among boxing fans.
And why he's fighting YouTube sensation turned professional boxer Jake Paul, who is 12 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 7 wins by way of knockout, opposed to fighting against the likes of his peers who are well accomplished and superstars in their own right for legacy fights like Shakur Stevenson, like Teofimo Lopez, like Devin Haney. Why he's not interested in those fights. And he gets real, right? He gets real, and only thing we could do is salute it, right? Because he's saying, I never told y'all I wanted to be a world champion. I never told y'all I wanted to be undisputed. I got into this for myself and my circumstances to escape from my circumstances. And that's real. We can't blame him for that. We hold him in high regard because the statements he's made and misled people when he said he got a hit list that he wants to check off before he retires, and that hit list includes Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, who turned down the fight because of a severe back injury. And then he told the world, he told Champside, it would be great for him to become undisputed. So I think that he had a change of heart at some point in time along the way, right?
Those who appreciate the sport's history of fair and balanced matches have become frustrated as a result. Showbiz claims that the continuous criticism has fueled discussion over whether Jake is ultimately improving or harming boxing's reputation. He stresses that the trend of uneven matches may end if Gervonta Davis wins Jake Paul handily. Tank would then be hailed as a boxing hero for defending the sport's honor, in addition to securing a noteworthy victory.